practice tests and rationalization about the theories of learning, a professional education review. Question number 1. Miss Reyes notices that her students become excited and start talking amongst themselves whenever the bell rings, signaling the end of class. Before she started using a specific chime to signal the start of a 5-minute warning before the bell, the students only reacted to the actual bell. Which principle of classical conditioning best explains the students' anticipatory excitement at the chime? A. Adhesive principle. B. Extinction. C. Stimulus generalization. Or letter D. Spontaneous recovery. The correct answer is letter C. Stimulus generalization. The chime, a new stimulus, is similar to the bell, the original conditioned stimulus. The students are generalizing their conditioned response, that's their excitement, to a similar stimulus. The other options are incorrect because A. Adhesive principle is a general concept, not specific to this scenario. B. Extinction involves the weakening of a response, not its generalization. And letter D. Spontaneous recovery, which refers to the reappearance of a response after extinction, which isn't happening in the particular problem. Question number 2. Ms. Garcia is teaching her students long division. She notices that some students are using different methods to arrive at the correct answer, some more efficient than others. Which of Thorndike's principles best explains this observation? Is it A. Law of readiness, B. Law of exercise, C. Law of effect, or letter D. Multiple response? The correct answer is letter D. Multiple response. Because Thorndike's multiple response principle states that learners will try various responses to reach a solution. The students' different methods demonstrate this principle in action. The other options are less relevant, like the law of readiness because it focuses on the learner's preparedness. Law of exercise is about repetition. And C, the law of effect, deals with consequences. Question number 3. You are designing a lesson plan on fractions for grade 5 students. How can you incorporate Thorndike's law of multiple responses to enhance learning? A. Present only one method for solving fraction problems to avoid confusion. B. Encourage students to explore different strategies and approaches to solving fraction problems. C. Focus primarily on drills and repetition to reinforce the correct procedures. Or letter D. Assign a large number of homework problems to ensure sufficient practice. So the correct answer is letter B. Encourage students to explore different strategies and approaches to solving fraction problems. Because this option directly applies Thorndike's law of multiple responses. And by encouraging students to explore different strategies, they are more likely to find a method that works best for them, strengthening the connection between the problem, the stimulus, and the solution, which is the response. Option A limits learning and doesn't allow for individual variation. Option C focuses on rote learning and may not lead to deeper understanding. And option D, while involving practice, that's the law of exercise, doesn't necessarily promote multiple responses. Question number 4. Mr. Cruz wants to increase student participation in his grade 6 science class. Using Skinner's operant conditioning, which strategy would be most effective? A. Scolding students who don't participate and praising those who do. B. Giving extra credit points to students who ask thoughtful questions and contribute to discussions. C. Ignoring students who don't participate and focusing only those who do. Or letter D. Creating a competitive environment where students earn points for participation with the highest scorer receiving the prize. Correct answer here is letter B. Giving extra credit points to students who ask thoughtful questions and contribute to discussions, because this applies the principle of positive reinforcement. The extra credit points act as a reward, strengthening the desired behavior, that's the participation. Option A combines punishment with reinforcement, which can be less effective. Option C doesn't actively encourage participation. And then option D, while employing positive reinforcement, might create unnecessary competition and anxiety, which is potentially discouraging some students. Question number 5. The grade 4 teacher notices that some students are hesitant to participate in group activities. Applying Bandura's social learning theory, which intervention is most likely to improve student participation? A. Punishing students who do not participate. B. Offering rewards to students who participate actively. C. Modeling enthusiastic participation in group activities herself and showcasing the positive outcomes of collaboration. Or letter D. Assigning individual projects instead of group activities. So the correct answer here is letter C. Modeling enthusiastic participation in group activities herself and showcasing the positive outcomes of collaboration. Because this leverages vicarious learning and the power of positive modeling. By demonstrating positive engagement and highlighting the benefits of collaboration, the teacher provides a positive model for students to observe and imitate. Because punishment in option A is likely to be counterproductive. Also with rewards in option B might be helpful in the short term, but modeling provides a more sustainable solution. And then avoiding group work altogether, that's option B, deprives students of valuable learning opportunities. Question number 6. As part of your effort to integrate Bandura's social learning theory, you plan a classroom activity utilizing role-playing to prevent bullying. Students will act out scenarios where empathy and effective communication are modeled. After role-playing, you engage your students in a discussion to evaluate the importance of empathy. What process are you engaging them in when you ask students to reflect on their actions and evaluate their own behavior afterwards? A. Retention. B. Motor reproduction process. C. Self-regulated learning. Or letter D. Symbolic modeling. Correct answer, letter C. Self-regulated learning. Self-regulated learning happens when individuals assess and judge their own behavior against a standard and either reward or correct themselves. So by engaging students in reflection and evaluation, you are helping them regulate their thoughts and behaviors. Question number 7. Mr. Santos is about to teach a lesson on fractions to his grade 5 class. According to Osobel's meaningful reception learning theory, which introductory activity would be most effective? A. Giving students a surprise quiz on fractions. B. Having students memorize the definitions of different types of fractions. C. Reviewing concepts of whole numbers and division, which are prerequisite to understanding fractions. And D. Letting students discover the rules of fractions through trial and error. The correct answer, C. Reviewing concepts of whole numbers and division, which are prerequisite to understanding fractions. because this activates prior knowledge and provides a foundation for connecting new information about fractions to existing schemas. Also, Bell emphasizes the importance of relating new information to what learners already know. Because in option A, is likely to cause anxiety and does not promote meaningful learning. Option B, on the other hand, encourages rote memorization, which also Bell considers less effective than meaningful learning. And then option D, while potentially engaging, may not be the most efficient way to introduce the concept. Question number 8. Situation. You notice that some students in your class are struggling to understand a new concept in history. To address this, you decide to use storytelling to illustrate key historical events and their significance relatable to your own lives. What is the primary benefit of using storytelling in this context? A. It ensures it ensures students memorize historical facts. B. It allows students to process information superficially. C. It enhances students' critical thinking by engaging them emotionally and personally. Or letter D. It confines students to a fixed interpretation of history. Correct answer is letter C. It enhances students' critical thinking by engaging them emotionally and personally. Storytelling connects students to the material on a personal level, fostering emotional engagement that is essential for meaningful learning. And this approach encourages students to think critically about the content and develop a deeper understanding of the significance of historical events based on their own experiences. Question number 9. As a science teacher, you want your students to understand the process of photosynthesis. Instead of lecturing, you provide them with materials to conduct an experiment where they observe the effects of light on plant growth. Students record the findings and use them to explain the process. Which principle of Brunner's discovery learning theory is most evident in this approach? A. Problem solving. B. Scaffolding. C. Active exploration. Or letter D. Inquiry-based learning. The correct answer here is letter D. C. Active exploration. Because active exploration emphasizes hands-on, engaged learning where students manipulate materials and explore concepts. In this scenario, students actively engage in observing and experimenting to construct their understanding of photosynthesis. Question number 10. Mrs. Santos wants her grade 6 students to understand the concept of density. Which activity best aligns with Brunner's discovery learning theory? A. Presenting a lecture, defining density and providing the formula. B. Having the students read a textbook chapter about density and answer comprehension questions. C. Providing students with various objects of different sizes and masses, along with water and graduated cylinders, and asking them to investigate which objects float or sink and why. Or letter D. Showing a video demonstrating density differences. Correct answer, letter C. Providing students with various objects of different sizes and masses along with water and graduated cylinders and asking them to investigate which objects float or sink and why. Because this option provides hands-on active exploration, encouraging students to construct their understanding of density through experimentation. While options A and B are passive learning approaches, and then option D, though visual, it lacks the active engagement crucial for discovery learning. Question number 11. Which of the following classroom activities would best promote insight learning according to Kohler's theory? A. Drilling students on multiplication tables. B. Having students memorize the steps to solve algebraic expressions. C. Presenting students with a challenging riddle that requires them to think creatively and connect seemingly unrelated ideas. Or letter D. Giving students a worksheet with multiple choice questions about a scientific concept. Correct answer? Letter C. Presenting students with a challenging riddle that requires them to think creatively and connect seemingly unrelated ideas. Because riddles often require a restructuring of the problem in the mind to arrive at a solution, promoting insight. Drilling and memorization, that's the options A and B, focus on rote learning, while multiple choice question in option B may not encourage the same level of cognitive restructuring. Question number 12. Mr. Cruz notices that his students often forget the lessons he discussed the previous day. Based on the information processing theory, which strategy would be most effective in improving student retention? A. Repeating the lesson several times in a single day. B. Having students passively listen to the lesson. C. Engaging students in activities that require them to apply and connect the new information to their prior knowledge. Or letter D. Presenting the lesson in a dimly lit room to minimize distractions. Answer is letter C. Engaging students in activities that require them to apply and connect the new information to their prior knowledge, because this aligns with the encoding and storage processes of the information processing theory. Active engagement and connecting new information to existing schemas in long-term memory strengthens the memory trace and improves retrieval. In option A, it's just a simple repetition without meaningful processing that is less effective. Passive listening in option B does not promote deep encoding. And then minimizing distraction, that's for option B, is helpful but not as impactful as active processing. Okay, let's proceed to question 13. A physical education teacher asks students to perform a basketball layup without giving step-by-step instructions. The students recall the movement automatically from their practice sessions in prior weeks. What type of memory is primarily responsible for this automatic recall of movement? A. Semantic memory. B. Procedural memory. C. Episodic memory. Or letter D. Sensory memory. Correct answer is letter B. Procedural memory. Because procedural memory is responsible for knowing how, encompassing the skills and actions as playing sports, typing, or riding a bike. The student's ability to perform a layup without detailed instruction demonstrates this type of memory. Question 14. A student who learned to multiply two-digit numbers successfully applies this knowledge to calculate the area of a rectangle. This demonstrates which type of transfer? A. Lateral transfer. B. General transfer. C. Specific transfer. Or letter D. Vertical transfer. Correct answer? Letter D. Vertical transfer. Vertical transfer involves applying previously learned skills to a more complex task. So calculating the area builds upon the foundational skill of multiplication. Lateral transfer, on the other hand, would involve applying multiplication to a similar context, like multiplying different two-digit numbers. A specific transfer would involve a very similar application of the skill, and then general transfer would involve applying the principle of multiplication to a very different context. Question 15. During a fire drill, a teacher instructs students to stand up and exit the classroom upon hearing the fire alarm. Students immediately act as instructed when the alarm goes off. Which type of learning from Gagne's hierarchy is most evident in this situation? A. Signal learning. B. Stimulus response learning. C. Discrimination learning. Or letter D. Problem solving. Answer letter B. Stimulus response learning, because this is characterized by voluntary learned responses to specific stimuli. And in this case, students voluntarily move after associating the fire alarm with the action of exiting the classroom, demonstrating this form of learning. Question 16. A student is struggling with a complex math problem. According to the Lewin's field theory, which teacher action would be most effective in helping the student? A. Providing a student with the correct answer immediately. B. Helping the student break down the problem into smaller, manageable steps and related previously learned concepts. C. Telling the student to try harder and figure it out on their own. Or letter D. Comparing the student's performance to other students in class. The correct answer is letter B. Helping the student break down the problem into smaller, manageable steps and relate it to previously learned concepts. Because this approach aligns with Lewin's emphasis on understanding the individual's current perspective and helping them navigate their field. Breaking down the problem simplifies the student's life phase, making the goal attainable. So by providing the answer, that's option A, or telling the student to try harder, that's option C, doesn't address the forces affecting the student's ability to solve the problem. And then comparison to others, that's option D, can create negative forces within the field. Question number 17. Ms. Reyes observes that one of her students, Maria, excels in brainstorming sessions, generating numerous creative ideas. However, Maria struggles to systematically organize and analyze these ideas into a coherent plan. Based on Kolb's learning styles, which learning style best describes Maria? A. Converger. B. Assimilator. C. Diverger. C. Or letter D. Accommodator. Correct answer is letter C. Diverger. Because divergers excel at generating ideas and brainstorming that is about concrete experience and active participation. They are less focused on systematic analysis and planning, that's abstract conceptualization. And then the other options don't fit Maria's profile. Like convergers, they focus on solutions. Assimilators, they prefer abstract conceptualization and then reflection. And then while accommodators prefer active experimentation. Question 18. A student excels in hands-on activities and experiments but struggles with abstract concepts. Based on Kolb's learning styles, which teaching strategy would be most beneficial for this kind of student? Providing opportunities for active learning through simulations and role-playing. B. Assigning extensive readings on theoretical concepts. C. Focusing primarily on lectures and presentations. D. Encouraging independent research and analysis of complex data. The correct answer, letter A, providing opportunities for active learning through simulation and role-playing. The student's preference for hands-on activities suggests an accommodator learning style. Simulations and role-playing provide concrete experiences and active experimentation, which allows students to learn by doing. And then extensive reading, that's option B, are better suited for assimilators. Lecture, that's option C, are most effective for auditory learners. And then independent research and data analysis, that's option D, are best for convergers. Question 19. Miss Cruz wants to assess her students' understanding of fractions. Instead of a traditional written test, she asked them to work in groups to bake cookies while using fractional measurements. Which aspect of Sternberg's triarchic theory of intelligence is Miss Cruz primarily assessing with this activity? A. Componential intelligence. B. Experiential intelligence. C. Practical intelligence, or letter D. Emotional intelligence. Correct answer is letter C. Practical intelligence. Because this activity directly assesses practical intelligence, which involves applying knowledge and skills to real-world situations. The students are using their understanding of fractions in a practical, hands-on context. Componential intelligence focuses on information processing. And then experiential intelligence on dealing with novel situations. And then emotional intelligence is not directly relevant to this kind of scenario. Question 20. Ms. Garcia observes that her students struggle with solving complex word problems in mathematics. Applying Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, or ZPD, what is the most effective strategy for Ms. Garcia to employ? A. Provide students with individually tailored worksheets. Practice solving problems independently. B. Group students of similar abilities together to work collaboratively on problem solving. C. Provide students with challenging problems beyond their current capabilities, expecting them to solve them independently. Or letter D. Offer guided assistance and scaffolding, gradually reducing support as students demonstrate increased competence. Correct answer, letter D. Offer guided assistance and scaffolding, gradually reducing support as students demonstrate increased competence. Because this option directly addresses the CPD by providing support, that is scaffolding, to help students reach their potential development. Options A and B don't address the need for scaffolding. And then option C is ineffective as it goes beyond the CPD. Question 21. A student, Miguel, is consistently disruptive in class. His teacher observes that he often arrives tired and hungry. Knowing about Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, which level should the teacher investigate first to understand the root cause of Miguel's behavior? A. Macro system. B. Exosystem. C. Mesosystem, or letter D. Microsystem. Correct answer is the microsystem. That is about the immediate environment like home and classroom. Because Bronfenbrenner's theory suggests starting with the closest environment. So Miguel's tiredness and hunger point to issues within his immediate environment, home, possibly transportation. While other levels might contribute, investigating the microsystem first is crucial for immediate intervention. Question number 22. Ms. Cruz is teaching a lesson on the water cycle. To cater to students with diverse intelligences, which activity would best incorporate multiple intelligences? A. A lecture followed by a written quiz on the water cycle. B. A group project where students create a model of the water cycle using clay and other materials, present their model, and write a short explanation. C. A worksheet with diagrams of the water cycle to be labeled. And letter D. A reading assignment about the water cycle followed by individual reflection. The correct answer is letter B. A group project where students create a model of the water cycle using clay and other materials, present their model, and write a short explanation. Because this option caters to multiple intelligences. The model building engages bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The presentation utilizes linguistic and interpersonal intelligences, and the written explanation uses linguistic intelligence. Options A, C, and D primarily focus on linguistic intelligence. Question number 23. During a group project, two students, Juan and Pedro, begin arguing loudly, disrupting the class. Applying Goleman's theory of emotional intelligence, what is the most effective initial response from the teacher? A. Immediately send both students to the principal's office. B. Ignore the argument and hope it resolves itself. C. Calmly address the situation, acknowledging their emotions and helping them identify the source of the conflict. And letter D. Publicly reprimand the students for their disruptive behavior. Correct answer D. Calmly address the situation, acknowledging their emotions, and helping them identify the source of the conflict. This response aligns with the core principles of emotional intelligence, that is, acknowledging the students' emotions, validates their feelings, and models emotional awareness. And then helping them identify the source of the conflict encourages self-regulation and problem solving. Whereas sending them to the principal's office, that's option A, or ignoring the situation, that option B, doesn't address the underlying emotional issues. Public reprimand, that's option D, could escalate the situation and damage their self-esteem. Question number 24. Ms. Santos wants to use assessment practices that align with the Glasser's control theory. Which grading strategy would be most appropriate? A. Grading on a curve where students' performance is ranked relatively to their classmates. B. Using a rubric with a clear criteria and providing specific feedback on student work quality. Awarding extra credit points for participation regardless of the quality of contributions, and then focusing solely on summative assessments such as final exams to determine the grades. Correct answer is letter B, using a rubric with clear criteria and providing specific feedback on student work quality. Because rubrics with clear criteria provide students with a transparent understanding of quality expectations, empowering them to take ownership of their learning. Specific feedback helps them improve and meet their need for power. Grading on a curve in option A creates competition and doesn't reflect individual growth. And then awarding extra credit for mere participation, that's option C, doesn't reflect quality work. And then focusing solely on summative assessments, that's option D, limits opportunities for feedback and improvement. And question 25, Mrs. Santos wants to teach her students about the importance of environmental conservation. Based on the principles of situated learning, which activity would be most effective? A. Lecturing on the effects of deforestation and pollution. B. Having students memorize facts about endangered species. C. Organizing a field trip to a local recycling plant and engaging students in a community cleanup drive. And letter D. Assigning students to individual research and write reports on different environmental issues. Correct answer, letter C, organizing a field trip to a local recycling plant and engaging students in a community cleanup drive. Because this option provides a real-world context for learning about environmental conservation. Students are actively involved in a meaningful activity within the community, connecting their learning to a real-life situation and fostering social relationships. Lecturing and memorization, that's option A and B, are passive learning strategies that lack situated context. Individual research, that's option B, while valuable, lacks the social and community-based element crucial to situated learning.